Are you ready to learn? Because my super experienced guests are ready to share some really valuable information. Make sure and listen all the way to the end to get help and support. So let's start with the best audio experience.
What's up, guys? Today I wanna discuss interesting topic because it's hard to find the right data, especially in the marketing field when users, customers, and many others they pay a lot of attention to save their privacy information. And I'm excited to discuss this topic with Marlon Glover. How are you?
I'm wonderful. That was a great introduction. Feel like you're setting us up. You're at least creating some high expectations for this conversation. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I want to be honest. It's my team provides this job. I just tell them, I have a great speaker. I want to discuss interesting topics, and they just take profiles, find online all information, and create this promo. So yeah, love it. That means it's better to cooperate with the right people in the right time, and everything will be fine. Okay, before we start, just tell more about yourself, your experience, background, and why you decided to take this topic.
Yeah, sure. So I like to say that if I go way back to like 2003, that's really when I got into sales back in college. But I would say around 14 years ago, I really fell in love with just the idea and the psychology of buying decisions. So the organization when I was with at the time analyzed salespeople and really tried to understand what high performing salespeople did to make them high performers and to sort of replicate that for the middle sort of grouping of performers at Fortune 500 organizations. While at that organization, we ended up publishing a book that ended up being a Wall Street Journal bestseller called The Challenger Sale. During that transition, I took on a role from sales to helping develop a marketing department within this organization. And so that's when I really got my hands into the idea of multi-channel, acquisition of new customers from a B2B side. So from creating digital properties to managing events, so on and so forth, while ingesting sort of that research around, hey, how are people making buying decisions based on the evolution of technology? Also, even in the B2B space, how are they doing it now that budgets are tightened and consensus is a big part of that decision? And so this is going to be probably much longer than what you were anticipating, but I'll try to trim it down. So from there, it was, okay, let me transition my skill set over to informing customers when they're searching online. And so made the transition to content strategy, working at a large marketing agency, to doing some of my own consulting. And then where I am now is how do we leverage data from search to not just think about things through the lens of keywords, but how do we leverage keyword data to translate in terms of what questions are potential customers asking Google. One of the first places they tend to ask questions when they're thinking about making any type of decision, and how can we use that data to inform content strategy initially, and ultimately, obviously, we're talking SEO. So how do we use that data to sort of influence, how we drive more customers, visitors to our sites. So for me, coming into this with the lens of how do we sort of change the language of keywords and SEO terminology to business terms. So what questions are customers asking Google? What times of year are they buying? Seasonality data, so on and so forth. That's when I started thinking about, hey, there's more growth and opportunities in how we leverage SEO, and particularly data that informs SEO strategy, to have arms and tentacles in other areas of the organization.
Nice. Love your experience. My loving quote that the era of lazy marketers is dead. Today you can't go ahead with generic strategy without the right data. And remember, probably 10 years ago when I started to promote my first online project. I just took generic data that worked well. I used this data on Google Ads in my SEO strategy. I even didn't create info content, just e-commerce content, because my goal was to buy more backlinks than my competitors had. And yeah, I ranked well. But when Google changed their algorithm, all my traffic dropped. So I got it that I need to learn more about that. And today, yeah, I completely sure that you can't rely on tools just to get the right data. You need to provide more sophisticated process. Can you tell, for example, for a new project, how to find the right data? What kind of tools we need to use? Where we need to go? For example, if we have no any resources, it's a new project and we are going to sell its high quality product, but how to find the right data for setting marketing campaigns?
Yeah, I'd say that that's going to become more challenging over time. At Search Metrics, we rely heavily on a very large and robust data set of billions of keywords and sort of their associated metrics, things like obviously search volume, but being able to sort of use dynamic click-through models to estimate traffic, looking at seasonality, aggregating SERP feature integrations that Google's constantly experimenting with, that has an impact on ranking sites' ability to get clicks. Competitors sort of presence in market spaces. So I think that for us, and particularly for me, when I'm thinking about where to start, I'm typically still looking at this core data set to sort of inform consumer buying trends for other areas of the organization. I will say that there is a lot of opportunity for us to think about, how can we use data from other search sources. So and I got to be honest with you, that's one of the things that I'm particularly interested in and looking into right now, whether it be social sites or again, this is sort of a touchy topic just because of the negative trend that we've seen in media around data tracking and cookies and making sure that we're not you know sort of getting into sort of like really nuanced privacy issues. But I will say that I think that to start, we still need to be tapping into the data that we have access to, maybe through the lens of search data, to understand how that might be able to influence decision making around other marketing departments, whether that's creative, branding, public relations, even customer service, merchandising, inventory managers, investment managers. I think that that's where there's so much opportunity for us to sort of change the language that we use around this core data set, so that it can be ingested by these other teams and interpreted in a way that is actionable for them. And that's a little bit of what we've seen anecdotes of some SEOs doing when they get into enterprises, right? They've been able to build bridges between what they typically do with optimizing a site so that it acquires more traffic, but also bringing these various groups into the same room and helping them understand how they may be able to put certain products on the shelves at times of the year where they weren't previously thinking about, based on seasonality trends of certain keyword categories and topics. That's just one example, but I can go off, I can stand on my soapbox and talk about this all day. But I would say that in terms of the data sources, I'm particularly interested in seeing what's happening across the industry from a privacy standpoint, but trying to squeeze as much juice as I can out of this core data set that we tend to sort of gravitate to already.
Yeah, nice sharing. Okay, Marlon, I have the question about digestion. Can you share the technical aspect, how to digest? Because you mentioned this word, data today. Because, for example, I can explain why it's interesting for me because I often see when clients are relying on tools a lot. They open SEMrush, Ahrefs, or any other tools, find generic keywords, see how their competitors get traffic, and just trying to replicate it. But competitors usually highlight their strong sides. They have their unique selling proposition, and I usually tell them you don't need to do it. Even marketing books proclaim learn your competitors and do the same, but it's not the case when your competitors get traffic from their strong sides. So it's better to consider your strong side, your unique selling proposition, and jump with that. And you mentioned about digestion. Can you tell more the technical aspect, how to digest, how to filter out the right data, take away the wrong data after the first research, and use in the correct way all this data? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, got to be honest with you. I won't ever claim to be an SEO, nor will I ever claim to be an engineer. Uh, I have really sort of smart and sharp people who do a lot of that dirty work on the back end. I'd say that that is a challenge at times, is being able to scrub a lot of the data so that we make sure that we have a quality data set to then be able to go and further analyze, working backwards from the action or the outcome that we want, or at least that we've determined that and stakeholders want to take, right? So, I'd say that one, as a part of one of the things that has been developed within my current organization, is when we have something called a market insights report, which aggregates from a list of seed terms, seed keywords, a broader list of other terms that are semantically related to those terms based on several factors. One being looking at the other sites that are ranking for those terms, finding a significant overlap for other keywords that are also ranking for those sites that are ranking for those seed terms, and using some proprietary algorithms to find semantic clusters of those additional terms mapping back to those seed terms. And then, when we look at that through that lens, that allows us to be able to ingest additional keywords that are semantically related, and then using other types of taxonomies to then group those keywords based on key characteristics. So, for example, if we were thinking, product categories like apparel, you might use an existing taxonomy that exists out there to then sort of create that structure for how you're going to sorry, for how you're going to sort of group those keywords in a way that's going to be useful for the end users that then need to take that and make sort of their own analyses and decision making. So again, not the answer that you're looking for from a technical standpoint, but I think that there's a lot of nuances and a lot of steps in order to get to a clean set of data that we can then begin analyzing for interpretation.
Yeah, got it. But I think that today SEO is more related to marketing than at any other stage of SEO evolution, because today, Google pays more attention to human psychology, to user experience, customer experience, and yeah, of course, SEO has a lot of methods, tricks to optimize content. But if you can't create content for a user,
Yeah.
it's hard to get results. You can't manipulate the search system that we did before. Yeah, I was on the same boat, because at that time that worked. That was hard to overcome your competitors with standard methods. But today we need to consider people. Yeah, if you don't consider people, you can't go ahead. I can't avoid this question because I see on your background some books. Can you tell how you can what you are loving books and how you get data from books? Yeah, it's related to our main topic.
Yeah. No, I think, how do I get data from books?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To your mind.
Oh man. So well, I mean, I think my wife's an educator, and so she's given me a lot of tools and tactics for note taking and finding anchors within material that I read, and using those sort of unique anchors to sort of set place marks for how to a certain part within a piece of literature that made me feel a certain way. Maybe there was a new idea, maybe there was something that I would challenge in a book. So it's sort of a she's giving me games, because I gotta admit, like, sometimes you might read some mundane books and you have to find like other ways to get engaged in them. So she's given me some good sort of tools and anchors that allows me to be able to go back and find markers of things that I've learned that's new, things that made me feel a certain way. And so segmenting the different things within those books in that way. So similar, I mean, not to bring it back to sort of SEO and data, but it's almost categorizing the different ideas and concepts in the books that I read, in a way that allows me to be able to organize them based on sort of these different things that I look to take away from it. So yeah, that's I mean, that's the short end of it. And then I think I heard Bill Gates say recently that reading isn't something that you can sort of do, just in a 5 minute time. You can't just like, oh, I'm gonna pick up a book and think I'm gonna get anything out of it. Like dedicating like a specific amount of time where my intention is to focus on reading and to sort of get whatever it is that I'm hoping to get out of it. And so that sort of helped me create a little bit more structure behind it.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I agree with Bill Gates. I think he knew what he's talking about, because for me it's hard to find time to read books. But I found this time I usually avoid watching TV completely.
Yeah,
Yeah, it saves a lot of time. And the second one, I'm listening to audiobooks.
yeah,
When I'm going to the bed, or walking with my dogs, or just exercising, training. Yeah, we have this time. You need just to find it and to use correctly. Someone with the name I am wanna know from you, where can I get a copy, list terms or techniques of the strategy that Marlon is using? Okay, you can reply.
the strategy, or where can I get a copy, a list terms of techniques of the strategy that you mean, from reading, or the books I'm reading, or just in general around
uh,
the
I know
data?
that was this question appealed before we started to speak about books, so it's more related to data, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think so much of what we're talking about, at least from my purview, is sort of new. And like one of the questions that I have, for a lot of SEOs is, uh, generally speaking, you talked about this sort of, the influence, of SEOs being able to sort of drive any type of changes. Like Google is giving folks less influence to sort of, in terms of their performance. And I question for a lot of SEOs, like how, when they lose that level of influence over time, Google wants to keep more people on their platform. How are you going to continue to create value within your organization? Right. And so, um, I think that because we've seen sort of this trend of, and you had Tyson Stockton on the show, and we've worked very closely together over the years. And one of the things he had brought to my attention from other data was that we were seeing companies that were maintaining their high rankings in Google, but were losing traffic, and as a result of other search features and knowledge graphs and things appearing in the search engine results pages. um, so that's another example of, hey, we're losing some of our ability to truly drive and influence our company's ability to drive revenue from the organic channel. And so for SEOs, I would challenge all SEOs to think about, all right, well, we know that we need to stay true to what we do, and we need to continue to sort of prove our belt value by driving revenue to the organization from a organic standpoint. But how else can I get a seat at the table, in some of these bigger conversations that are happening across the organization. And I come back to this idea of being able to tap into one understanding. Hey, go to your creative team and understand what data they're using to determine what creative strategies they're going to execute as a part of their projects and campaigns throughout the year. So, for example, if we were talking to a major shoe retailer and they were looking at advertising a running shoe in a certain colorway at this time of year, well, are they can you go to them and say that, well, hey, based on our data and search trends that this could be a sort of a close representation of consumer demand. We see that in this region during this time of year that this type of product in these colors are most searched. um, that could inform the the image that they put on billboards or commercials in that region, the timing of it, etc., in addition to what you populate on the site. So I know I'm not answering your question. I just going to be a redundant thing, but I haven't found a lot of data out there or a lot of resources out there that truly help answer that question. And this is something that we're particularly keen on doing at Search Metrics, and I got to say, personally, in my career. I'm scouring the nets as well to try to figure out, who else is using search data to sort of inform that. But I do believe that there are other data sources that are, the Nielsen's of the world that are providing data in a way that could drive some of that decision making. I think that our value could be there's a higher ceiling for the value that SEOs can provide by tapping into that.
Nice, nice. Love your answer. I have the question about creating the right content strategy or any strategy for a business. Can you share from your experience how to do it, how to create the right strategy by using correct data when you found them, digest, and I want to clarify why I'm interested about that, because I often see when companies are looking to cover almost everything, many directions without having good results with one direction. Can you tell how to prioritize your efforts, because especially when we have limited resources, and how to create this strategy, because 36% of all businesses only have a documented content strategy. Most of others just use generic strategy, nothing special. I don't know where they can get this data, possible from some tools, and chasing everything. Please provide insights about that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big conversation. I think that, before we even talk about content, because content is a tactic, I think it's important to work backwards from what it is that we ultimately want to achieve, and um, that's sort of helping or constructively teaching prospective customers throughout that buying process. And this goes back to sort of 13 years ago, this whole idea of like the challenger sale, that book that I told you about that was driven by research from top sales performers. But we understand that customers are empowered to learn on their own. And so, what does that journey look like from the point that they are doing their day to day jobs, or if they're not sort of a business person, they going, say I like to play basketball, so I don't have a need for a new ankle brace right now. But I am interested in topics around sort of basketball and performance gear and workouts, etc. So that's sort of a part of my journey as well. So if there's domains that are teaching me around that I constantly keep coming back to, that's educating me around these things, and they just so happen to sell ankle braces, then one of the things I might sort of be aware of when I need an ankle brace is, oh yeah, I remember that company. Now I have a need that's so significant, I'm looking to find a solution for it. And so now the brand awareness is there, but now they got to show and prove. here are the things that I'm looking for regarding my ankle brace that my podiatrist told me that I should be thinking about. And so now understanding sort of all of those questions that may come up in a conversation with your customers, a company's customer success team, a sales team, being able to pull those questions from people that are actually having conversations with customers. That could be a great start for doing some of our keyword research. If we don't have that ability to do that, then what I would also start looking at is who else out there is teaching our customers, our prospective customers, um, who else out there is teaching our prospective customers and using them as a resource pool to pull keywords, or I like to call keywords questions that prospective customers are asking Google. From there, we're just aggregating data from real life conversations to competitor data. And we're trying to understand how that maps along the buying journey from top of the funnel, day-to-day things that your prospective customer may care about before they actually have a problem that they want to solve for, to the specific things that they care about when they're looking to solve that problem. In my case, I wanted an ankle brace that um, actually wanted an ankle brace that Steph Curry wears because he had he had really bad ankle problems. If you're familiar with basketball in the U.S., but and so I was looking for specific specs around that and being able to answer and address those questions along the buying process. Once you've identified that, then you want to understand, one, how effectively are you answering those questions today based on your current material, right? So that could help you prioritize things. Are you answering a significant number of questions early in the buying process, but you're sort of anemic, sort of the middle and late stages where people are asking about, hey, what does the customer support process look like for this product or solution? And then obviously, so you're addressing each stage of the buying process, and then from there, you're targeting the terms and the groupings of terms along that buying process based on the I would say the demand for those questions. Demand being the search volume and the potential traffic that you can achieve. I would say the other thing to consider, and there's a lot there, but the other thing to consider is authority. There are obviously we know with certain types of topics that you definitely need to have the authority to be able to rank for those. And so looking for areas where you can establish more authority so that you're in a better position to rank for it. But it's a broad question. It obviously has its own unique nuances for different industries. If we were talking running shoes, and there's health oriented things related to that may have different implications of how you target that versus other topics.
Yeah, I like your reply. By the way, if you want to play basketball, I'm in Florida. I have a good field here, close to my house. We can play. I'm not sure that I can beat you, because I like playing, but I'm far away from professionals.
Yeah, no, I'm not that good either. But getting up there in age, man, is a good way to stay in shape in a fun way.
Yeah, totally. By the way, I am wanna know about my strategy. Yeah, interesting. I can share a few insights. My living strategy is to be myself. Don't copy others, and consistent in your way. Just go step by step. Be patient with results, and don't try to overcome competitors. For example, I usually search for topics that have a lack of quality content, low competition. For example, if I see that competitors have a lot of backlinks, why I need to try to overcome them? Or for example, I can see they have high quality content. Even if I create the same high quality content, why Google will rank my content? So it's better to find topics with outdated information, low quality content, where you can create something better, much better, 10 times better content, then jump on this field. And be consistent. For example, I love using strategy to comment a lot on social media posts. And when someone replied to me, it doesn't work for me because I commented 100 times and it didn't work. Guys, I commented 1,000 times when I met first results, when I landed to them, when I got, oh, it worked. So you need to be patient because you can improve your quality step by step. Just go ahead with that. Okay, Marlon, I have the next question. I check out on your LinkedIn that you have experience with marketing and sales. In most cases, these niches are different. And I check out a few studies that sales people don't like marketers. Probably they have some reasons. I don't want to jump on that, to dive more. Can you tell how to unite marketers and sales people today? Because you have experience in marketing and sales, and marketers need to get data from salespeople, but salespeople can hide them or don't want to share. From your experience, how to do it?
Yeah, I think everything starts with the alignment of like the common goal. Like my thought process with almost everything is, and Simon Sinek has a great sort of TED talk around it. It's like lead with why. And oftentimes where you see misalignment between marketing and sales is there's misalignment because marketing is talking about a tactic here that sales doesn't understand what outcomes will come from that tactic that will help them. um and then sales can be very demanding and sort of very sort of tunnel vision at times around a specific deal that they want to get in the door. So I think that when you lead with like what is it that we want to accomplish as an organization, and then the second level is what are the who are the various stakeholders, those being marketing and sales in this case, that have activities with outcomes that align to that bigger goal. Those things have to align first, right? So marketing's activities needs to align to this bigger goal, and sales activities need to align to those bigger goals. And if there's agreement in sort of that middle tier, then the tactics used will make the most sense for everyone in the organization. So I can tell you that for personally in my career, and one of the things is the connected tissue between marketing and sales is helping, as a marketer, helping sales understand what how the things that we're going doing is aligning to the buying process. So to them is they want to be able to reduce the sales cycle time to get deals in the door faster, um, to sell more quickly. They want to increase deal size. And so as a marketer, I'm thinking, okay, great, so everything that I do needs to be communicated in a way that will resonate with a salesperson that wants to reduce the sales cycle and increase deal size. And if I can communicate everything that I'm doing through that lens, then sales is going to be right there on board with me. Whether I'm asking them to do something is going to be, hey, I need you to do this because if we did this, it's going to reduce the sales cycle or increase the deal size in some way. And so, that's where I think for personally, I've had great relationships with sales, and even on the delivery side, when sales, there's this sort of ongoing thing of whether you're in an agency and you're working with salespeople and they care about getting the deal through the door. And sometimes you get an engagement that you have to support for a client and maybe misaligned with what was sold. Well, you solve for that by talking a little bit about the client experience and what would be beneficial if we have a successful engagement, and how we may be able to use that engagement to get more referrals to make their job easier, or even how we can get involved in the sales conversation, particularly when it comes to scoping, because you can help sort of create more credibility earlier on, that or help them identify gaps in their strategy that could include more services that we could offer them before you sold it. So now we're saying, okay, getting me involved, someone that is more on the delivery side, will probably increase your win rates, make you win more deals because you're providing expertise and education earlier in the sales process at a deeper level. it'll likely you're probably going to find some things that you weren't considering and increase the amount that you're actually going to sell them by doing a small maybe gap analysis. And if they're considering other competitors, then it's very likely we could sort of close that process or make that sale happen faster because we are helping you scope that and it's not taking as long to do it. So those are just some of the things that on the marketing side can help sort of bridge the gap between sales. And then even as a expert or a consultant, working with sales to make sure that you're getting the right engagement scoped and through the door.
Yeah, nice. Love your reply. Okay, can you tell about short term, medium, and long strategy? Because for example, marketers have different goals. For example, content marketing might not work in the short run when you create blog content. Webinars can work right now, yeah, because you can get leads. How to divide them? For example, long goals, short goals, medium goals in your marketing strategy.
Yeah, that's a good question. To be honest, I've been a little bit removed from full scope digital marketing and been very focused on using data and to inform these strategies and supporting SEO consultants. But one of the things that I always come back to is it always comes back to customer acquisition and the journey to get to acquiring customers. And then once they're acquired, how do we retain them, grow them over time? And so from a goal perspective, again, going back to what is our why? Our why is how do we get the right clients? How do we build loyal, well, I won't say clients, how do we get the right customers? How do we build loyal customers? And how do we grow those customers over time while maximizing profit? And so when in working backwards from that goal, then it comes back, we get to that middle layer again, which is what are the tactics for us as digital marketers or SEOs, and how do we measure our KPIs alongside that bigger initiative? And so, I think that it varies for different organizations depending on what that ideal client looks like and what that ideal client experience looks like. So long-term goals, and I would say in my case, in sort of selling or selling sort of SEO engagements for large enterprises would be one, where are they in their where is our client in their SEO maturity model, right? So a short-term goal for organization that has very low maturity in SEO is to provide education for them so that they can be much more self-sufficient in analyzing sites or doing keyword research or setting up projects in a way that's going to help them be able to track performance or identifying new topics that is driven by SEO data, potential traffic, and optimizing that content. Those could be short-term goals. Midterm goals for a low maturity organization could be, okay, within, let's say 6 months time, after you sort of gotten self-sufficient in doing that, we want to see actual things being published. We want to see things being implemented and executed on the back end from a technical side. So we want to see some marked improvement over time. Maybe a short-term goal is just actually getting things done. Sometimes just getting things implemented. And then long-term goals is going to be really very much tied to that bigger objective is, are we capturing the right customer? Are they loyal? Are they growing? And finding the right success metrics to measure those individual things. But it always comes back to that bigger organization business goal or company goal is getting the right customer, making them loyal, retaining them, growing over time while maximizing profit.
Nice. Okay, I have I think the final question. For example, if someone wanna be an expert like you, what to do? Which books to read, what to learn, and where to go. Because I think my audience consists of website owners, business owners, and students who wanna jump on this field. Provide more insights for students who wanna be an expert in one day like you.
Yeah, I don't like calling myself an expert. Like, I'm just a student. I'm always a student. And I think that's the mindset to have, is that just this natural curiosity to learn and to sort of dig deeper. There's so many areas, from marketing, and all the various channels within that, to SEO, that an individual that may be in the game for 20 years that still feels like, hey, now I need to go into this area of technical SEO, and specifically like within this area of technical SEO. So for me, it's just sort of this innate ability to, honestly, where it starts is learning how to learn, right? It's like learning how to learn was probably the first thing, and that's probably something that one of my side passions, that of like, how do I constructively process information and gather information, going back to the question around the books. What tools can I use to learn and retain information? And then once I have that structure and that framework, then the world is my oyster. So, I can't point you to any books, but what I'd say is that if you have access to any data or any platforms, then use that, and use clients that, or use organizations or topic areas that you're passionate about or you're interested in, and just start rolling up your sleeves and getting going. I've built my own websites when I had no coding experience. I've built my own e-commerce sites. I wasn't in SEO, so I just took it upon myself to learn SEO as much as I could by building my own e-commerce site. And yeah, so I think the start is, we can sort of inundate ourselves with a ton of books and a ton of resources and not necessarily retain that information. The most important thing I can probably tell anyone is to learn how to learn, and start your research there, and then everything else should follow suit.
I love your reply. I'm going to steal it, when someone will ask me, because yeah, I'm on the same boat. Yeah, I always learn. And it's interesting. Yeah, I agree with that. When you learn more, you understand that you understand nothing. Yeah, that means just to be student all your life. Thanks a lot, Marlon. It's a big pleasure to get in my show. Tell our audience how they can reach out to you, learn more about you, follow you.
Yeah, yeah. I'm admittedly not great at this, but what I'll say is that LinkedIn, you can find me on LinkedIn, Marlon Glover. I think forward slash Marlon Glover, exactly. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm not that active on Twitter. We'll see where it goes with Elon taking the helm, but you can find me on Twitter under my name, Marlon Glover. And you could always use those channels to reach out to me. So thank you so much, man. I really appreciate the conversation. This felt very organic and real.
Yeah, that was fun. Okay, guys, you can find all these links in the description below. Listen us on Apple, Google, Spotify. Thanks again for your time. Yeah, it's a big pleasure to learn from experts. I think you are expert, but you are a student as well. Yeah, you can go ahead with all of them. Okay, guys, thanks for watching and listening us.
Thank you.